I overheard my family's plan to humiliate me at Christmas. That night, Mom called, furious. Where are you? I replied calmly. Did you enjoy my gift? Let me back up. I was 24 when I moved back home after losing my job. My parents said it was temporary, that family helps family. What they meant was they finally had their punching bag back. For 6 months, I'd been entertainment at every gathering. My uncle would joke about my failed career. My sister would post photos of me doing chores with captions like, living her best life. Dad would shake his head and say, we had such high hopes. I took it. I smiled. I pretended it didn't gut me every single time. 3 days before Christmas, I came home early from a job interview. The house was supposed to be empty, but I heard voices in the dining room. I stopped outside the door. This year's Christmas game, my sister was saying, we're doing a roast. Everyone gets 2 minutes to tell their funniest story about someone else. Oh, I've got plenty about our little failure, my uncle laughed. Mom's voice cut in. Let's make it a full 10 minutes. She's given us enough material. They planned the whole thing. Dad would go first with my college dropout story, except I never dropped out. My sister had screenshots of my dating app profile to pass around. My aunt was bringing a poster board with my worst childhood photos. They'd even written a fake award certificate for most disappointing child. The family was gathering on Christmas Eve, 23 people, all there to watch me crumble. I stood in that hallway for 45 minutes listening to them laugh, planning my destruction like it was a surprise party. That night, I packed everything that mattered into my car. I left behind the clothes they'd bought me, the phone on their plan, everything that tied me to them. Then I wrapped my gift and placed it under the tree with a tag that read, to the family. I drove to my friend Nora's apartment 2 states away. She'd been telling me for months I could crash with her. By the time I arrived, it was 11 p.m. on Christmas Eve. That's when Mom called. Where are you? Her voice was shaking with rage. Did you enjoy my gift? I asked. Silence. Then, you had no right. My gift was simple, a flash drive. On it, every cruel text message they'd sent about me over the years, every group chat where they'd mocked my struggles, screenshots of my sister's private Instagram where she posted photos of me sleeping, crying, doing dishes, with captions analyzing my patheticness for her 3,000 followers. And a letter. In that letter, I'd written out every single humiliation they'd planned for Christmas Eve, every joke, every story, every detail they'd spent an hour perfecting. I ended it with, I won't be there for you to destroy, but I wanted you to know that I heard everything. I always hear everything. I'd labeled the flash drive, family memories, share with everyone. You're being dramatic, Mom said. We were just having fun. Was it fun? I asked. Did everyone enjoy seeing who you really are? I could hear voices in the background, arguing. Someone was crying. The family's here, Mom hissed. You've ruined Christmas. No, I said. I just declined to be your entertainment. Your father wants to talk to you. I'm done talking. I hung up and blocked every number. Nora handed me a glass of wine. We spent Christmas morning making pancakes and watching movies. No jokes at my expense. No humiliation. Just peace. My phone, on Nora's plan now, started getting messages from numbers I didn't recognize. My sister's friends, my cousins. Apparently someone had shared that flash drive with the entire extended family. The group chats had been exposed. My sister's followers had turned on her after seeing how she'd used me for content. Then came a message from an unknown number. We need to talk about what else was on that drive. I frowned. I'd only put our family's messages on there. Nothing else. Who is this? I typed back. Your sister's ex-boyfriend. The one she told everyone cheated on her. I found something in those screenshots you might want to see. Something about why your job offer actually fell through last year. My hands started shaking. What are you talking about? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Then my phone rang from a blocked number. I answered. A man's voice I didn't recognize said, your sister didn't just post about you for fun. She sabotaged your entire life. And I have proof. My throat went dry. What proof? Can we meet? There's a coffee shop on Madison Street. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. I looked at Nora. She was watching me with concern, mouthing, who is it? How do I know you're who you say you are? I asked. Your sister and I dated for 8 months. I'm the one who bought her that silver bracelet she never takes off. The one with the tiny camera charm. He paused. She told everyone I cheated because I found out what she was doing to you. I tried to warn you, but she deleted my messages before you saw them. I remembered that bracelet. My sister wore it constantly, said it was from an admirer. I'd always thought it was tacky. Fine, I said. Madison Street, 2 p.m. How will I know you? I'll be the guy with the manila folder and a really pissed off expression. He hung up. Nora grabbed my arm. What was that about? I told her everything. About the job offer from Crawford Marketing that had mysteriously vanished last year. How I'd made it through 4 rounds of interviews, met the team, negotiated salary. Then one day, the hiring manager called and said they were going in a different direction. No explanation, no feedback, just gone. That lost job had started my downward spiral. I'd been living in my own apartment then, confident and independent. Without that income, I couldn't make rent. I'd moved back home 3 months later, defeated. You think your sister had something to do with it? Nora asked. I don't know, but I'm going to find out. The next day, I arrived at the coffee shop 15 minutes early. I ordered a black coffee and sat in the back corner where I could see the door. My leg wouldn't stop bouncing. At exactly 2 p.m., a man walked in, mid-20s, dark hair, wearing a gray jacket and carrying a manila folder. He looked around, spotted me, and headed over. You must be, he started. Don't say my name. I cut him off. Just sit. He sat. Up close, I could see the exhaustion in his face. Dark circles under his eyes, a tightness around his mouth. I'm Derek, he said, and I'm sorry. I should have tried harder to reach you. Start from the beginning. He opened the folder. Inside were printouts of text messages, emails, screenshots. He slid the first one across to me. It was a message from my sister to someone named Brittany. Operation Sabotage is going perfectly. She has no idea I'm the one feeding information to Crawford's HR. My stomach dropped. Derek pulled out another screenshot. An email chain between my sister and someone at Crawford Marketing. The subject line read, "Concerns about candidate." I read it, then read it again. My sister had sent them anonymous tips about me, claimed I had a drinking problem, said I'd been fired from my previous job for stealing, attached fake screenshots of social media posts where I supposedly badmouthed former employers. None of it was true, but it looked real. She'd doctored everything perfectly. She used a burner email, Derek explained, made it look like a concerned former colleague. Crawford's HR took it seriously enough to pull your offer. Why? My voice cracked. Why would she do this? Derek's expression hardened. Because you were doing better than her. You had your own place. A good job lined up. A life that didn't revolve around getting likes on Instagram. She couldn't stand it. He pulled out more evidence. Screenshots of her bragging to friends about taking you down a peg, plans to document your failure era for content, calculations of how many followers she'd gain from your misery. She saw you as competition, Derek said, and she eliminated you. I felt nauseous. How did you find all this? I found the burner email on her laptop. We were living together at the time. I confronted her and she laughed, said you deserved it for always acting like you were better than everyone. He looked down. I tried to tell you. Sent you messages on Facebook, Instagram, even tried calling, but she'd already blocked me from your accounts. Made it look like I was the bad guy. The cheating story. Complete fabrication. I ended things because of what she did to you. She spun it her way, played the victim, and everyone believed her. He tapped the folder. But I kept copies of everything. Been holding on to them for a year, waiting for the right moment. Why now? Because when I saw that flash drive going around, I realized you were finally fighting back. And you deserved to know the whole truth. He pushed the folder toward me. This is yours. Do whatever you want with it. I stared at the evidence. A year of my life stolen. My career derailed. My confidence destroyed. All because my sister wanted content and couldn't handle me being successful. There's more, Derek said quietly. Your job wasn't the only thing she sabotaged. He showed me screenshots of messages to my ex-boyfriend Tyler. My sister had told him I was cheating. Sent him fake photos she'd edited to look like me with another guy. Tyler had broken up with me over text. Wouldn't even let me explain. I'd cried for weeks. Thought I'd done something wrong. Never knew my sister had orchestrated the whole thing. She also torpedoed your application to grad school, Derek continued. Found out where you were applying. Sent them similar anonymous emails. That's why you got rejected despite having better qualifications than half the people they accepted. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the papers. Graduate school. My dream. I'd applied to 3 programs, got rejected from all of them, thought I wasn't good enough, gave up on the idea entirely. I'm going to be sick, I whispered. Derek pushed his water toward me. I know this is a lot, but you need to know what she took from you. I drank the water, tried to steady my breathing, tried to process that my sister hadn't just mocked my failures. She'd created them. What do you want me to do with this? I finally asked. Whatever you need to do, Derek said. I'll testify if you want to pursue legal action. I'll send these to anyone you want. I just think you deserve justice. I looked at the folder, at the proof of my sister's cruelty, laid out in black and white. Can I keep these? They're yours. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Derek said, for what it's worth, I'm sorry. I should have fought harder. Should have found a way to tell you sooner. It's not your fault, I said. She's good at this. At manipulating people. Yeah, he stood up. If you need anything else, I left my contact info in the folder. Good luck. He left. I sat there for another hour, reading through every piece of evidence, every cruel message, every calculated move. By the time I left the coffee shop, I knew exactly what I needed to do. Back at Nora's apartment, I spread everything out on her kitchen table. She read through it all, her face getting angrier with each page. This is psychotic, she said. Your own sister destroyed your entire life for Instagram followers? Apparently. What are you going to do? I pulled out my laptop, started researching employment lawyers. If Crawford Marketing had pulled my offer based on false information, I might have a case. If my sister had impersonated me or made false claims, that was potentially illegal. But as I scrolled through legal websites, I realized something. A lawsuit would take years, cost money I didn't have, and my sister would just play victim again, probably gain even more followers from the drama. No, I needed something better. I needed her to face the consequences of her own actions. Nora, I said slowly, how do you feel about helping me commit some completely legal, totally justified revenge? She grinned. I thought you'd never ask. We spent the next 3 days planning. I contacted Derek and asked him to send me everything in digital format. Then I reached out to an old college friend, Priya, who worked in digital forensics. Can you verify these are authentic? I asked her. I need to be absolutely sure before I do anything. Priya spent 2 days examining the files, checking metadata, analyzing the screenshots, verifying the email headers. Finally, she called me back. It's all real, she said, and I can provide an expert verification if you need it for legal purposes. Thank you. Next, I contacted Crawford Marketing, asked to speak to their HR director, a woman named Helen Torres. When I explained who I was and why I was calling, there was a long silence. I remember your application, she said carefully. We were impressed with your qualification. Then why did you pull the offer? Another pause. We received information that concerned us, anonymous but detailed. We have a policy about certain behaviors. What if I told you that information was completely fabricated? That I have proof it came from someone with a personal vendetta? I'd want to see that proof. I sent her everything. The screenshots, Derek's testimony, Priya's verification. 2 days later, Helen called me back. This is serious, she said. If what you're showing me is accurate, we made a hiring decision based on fraudulent information. That's not something we take lightly. I'm not looking to sue, I said. I just want the truth on record. We'd like to offer you a formal apology. And if you're still interested in working here, we'd like to restart the conversation about employment. My heart jumped. Seriously? We're opening a new position in our digital marketing division. It would be a step up from what we originally offered. I'd like to interview you for it. I scheduled the interview for the following week. Then I contacted the graduate programs I'd applied to, sent them the same evidence, explained what had happened. 2 of the 3 schools responded with apologies and invitations to reapply. The third offered to review my original application with the false information removed. But I wasn't done. I compiled everything into a detailed document, every screenshot, every message, every piece of evidence showing exactly what my sister had done. Then I wrote a letter explaining the timeline, how she'd systematically destroyed my job prospect, my relationships, my education, all while documenting my resulting misery for content. I sent it to Derek. Can you share this with her ex-friends? The ones who already saw the Christmas flash drive? Already on it, he replied. Within 24 hours, the document was circulating in the same circles that had watched my sister build her influencer brand on my suffering. Her comment section started filling up with people calling her out. Brands she'd partnered with began dropping her. Her follower count plummeted. My cousin Haley, who'd always been close to my sister, sent me a message. I had no idea. I'm so sorry. What she did was unforgivable. But the real satisfaction came 3 days later. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. You've gone too far, my sister's voice hissed. Do you have any idea what you've done to me? I showed people who you really are, I said calmly. That's all. You ruined my life. I've lost everything. Funny. That's exactly what you did to me. Except I didn't have to lie or fabricate anything. I just told the truth. Mom and Dad are furious with you. The whole family is. Good thing I don't need them anymore. You're going to regret this, she said. I'll make sure of it. How? You've already done your worst. You took my job, my relationship, my education. You mocked me publicly for months. What's left? Silence. Here's the thing, I continued. I'm not you. I don't need to destroy you to feel good about myself. I just needed people to see what you really are. And now they do. I hate you. I know. You always have. I hung up. Nora was watching from the couch. How do you feel? Tired, I admitted, but lighter somehow. 2 weeks later, I had my interview at Crawford Marketing. They offered me the position on the spot. Better title, better salary, and a formal apology letter for their handling of my previous application. I took it. I also reapplied to graduate school. Got accepted with a partial scholarship. Moved into my own apartment in a building with actual security and a doorman who checked every visitor. Started therapy to process everything that had happened. Built a life that had nothing to do with my family. 3 months after Christmas, my mom called from an unknown number. I'd blocked all their main lines. We need to talk, she said. No, we don't. Your sister is struggling. She's lost her sponsorships. Her followers are turning on her, and she's talking about hurting herself. Then she should see a therapist. This is your fault. You need to fix this. I laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. Let me get this straight. My sister spent years sabotaging my entire life for content. She cost me a job, a relationship, and my education. She planned to humiliate me in front of the entire family. And now that everyone knows what she did, you want me to fix it? She's your sister. She stopped being my sister when she decided to destroy me for Instagram likes. If she's struggling with consequences, that's between her and her therapist. You're being cruel. No, Mom, I'm being done. I hung up. Blocked that number too. Dad tried next. Sent an email to my work address, which he must have gotten from my LinkedIn. We raised you better than this, he wrote. Family forgives family. Your sister made mistakes, but you're tearing this family apart with your vendetta. I replied with one sentence. She tore me apart first, and you all watched. Then I blocked his email and made my LinkedIn private. My uncle tried to ambush me at a coffee shop near my office. He must have followed me from work. I saw him sitting at a table, waving me over. I kept walking. He called after me. You can't ignore us forever. I didn't look back. The thing about cutting off toxic family is that they don't believe you'll actually do it. They think eventually you'll cave, come back, forgive them because that's what family does. But I'd spent 6 months being their punching bag. Years before that being compared to my perfect sister. A lifetime being made to feel less than. I was done. 4 months after Christmas, I ran into my aunt at a bookstore. She looked shocked to see me. You look good, she said carefully. Thanks. I wanted to apologize for the Christmas planning. I didn't realize how serious it was. You were bringing a poster board of my worst childhood photos. She flinched. It seemed funny at the time. Did it? Or did it seem mean and you just didn't care? I care about you. No, you don't. You care about the family looking good. That's different. I walked away. My sister tried one final time, sent me a letter to my office. No return address, but I recognized her handwriting. I'm sorry, it said. I know I hurt you. I was jealous and cruel and I ruined your life. I'm in therapy now. I'm trying to be better. Can we please talk? I read it twice, looking for genuine remorse. All I found was, I'm in therapy now. And, can we please talk? Nothing about taking responsibility. Nothing about how she'd systematically destroyed everything I'd built. Just another attempt at manipulation. I threw it away. 6 months after Christmas, I got promoted at work. My boss called me into her office and said, "You've exceeded every expectation. We'd like to offer you senior coordinator and a 20% raise." I celebrated by taking Nora out to dinner at the fanciest restaurant we could find. We ordered champagne and expensive steaks and laughed about how far we'd come. I'm proud of you, Nora said, for getting out, for rebuilding. I couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you could have, but I'm glad you didn't have to. That night, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. This is Helen from Crawford Marketing, a familiar voice said. I hope I'm not calling too late. Not at all. Is everything okay? More than okay. I wanted to give you a heads up. Your sister contacted our company, sent us a letter claiming you'd fabricated evidence against her and demanding we rescind your job offer. My blood went cold. What? Don't worry. We had our legal team review everything. The evidence you provided is airtight. We sent her a cease and desist letter warning her that any further contact would be considered harassment. Helen paused. I'm telling you this because you should know. She's not done trying to hurt you. Thank you for letting me know. After I hung up, I sat on my couch staring at nothing. Nora came and sat beside me. She'll never stop, I said quietly. Will she? Probably not. But But you're not the same person you were 6 months ago. You're stronger now. She was right. 6 months ago, my sister's manipulation would have destroyed me. Now it was just another move in a game I'd already won. I contacted a lawyer the next day, explained everything, the job sabotage, the harassment, the continued attempts to interfere with my employment. You have grounds for a restraining order, he said, and potentially a civil suit. I don't want money. I just want her to leave me alone. Then we'll go with the restraining order. The hearing was scheduled for 3 weeks later. My sister showed up with our parents, both of them glaring at me like I was the villain in this story. The judge reviewed the evidence, the emails to Crawford, the fake screenshots, Derek's testimony, the recent attempt to get me fired. This is a clear pattern of harassment, he said. Restraining order granted. The respondent is to have no contact with the petitioner for a period of 2 years. No calls, no texts, no social media contact, no third-party contact. My sister started crying. Mom put her arm around her. Dad glared at me. I didn't care. As I left the courthouse, my dad stepped in front of me. You've destroyed this family, he said. No, I replied. I removed myself from a family that was destroying me. There's a difference. Your mother is devastated. She planned to watch me get humiliated in front of 23 people. She's not devastated. She's embarrassed that everyone knows who you all really are. We're your family. You're people I'm related to. That's all you've ever been. I walked past him and never looked back. A year after Christmas, I finished my first semester of graduate school with a 4.0 GPA. Crawford Marketing promoted me again. I had my own place, my own life, my own peace. Nora and I went to her family's Christmas that year. Her mom made too much food and her dad told terrible jokes and nobody roasted anyone. It was perfect. On Christmas morning, Nora handed me a small box. You didn't have to get me anything, I said. Just open it. Inside was a keychain, a tiny middle finger made of sterling silver. I laughed until I cried. For your family, Nora explained. Metaphorically, I kept that keychain on my keys. A reminder that sometimes the best revenge isn't elaborate planning or careful plotting. Sometimes it's just living well despite everyone who tried to break you. My sister's Instagram never recovered. She tried rebranding several times, but people remembered. The comments would always mention what she'd done, how she'd built her following on someone else's suffering. She eventually made her account private, deleted most of her posts, disappeared from the platform that had mattered more to her than her own sister. I didn't follow her journey, didn't check up on her, didn't care. 2 years after Christmas, I graduated with my master's degree. Top of my class, Crawford Marketing paid for half my tuition as part of their employee development program. Mom sent a card, just a card, no note. I threw it away without opening it. Dad sent an email, congratulations. We always knew you could do it. I deleted it. My sister sent flowers to my office with a note. Proud of you. I donated them to a nursing home. The restraining order was set to expire. My lawyer called and asked if I wanted to renew it. Has she tried to contact me? I asked. Not that we know of. Then let it expire, but keep the documentation in case we need it later. I didn't think I'd need it. My sister had learned that I wasn't someone she could manipulate anymore, that I'd built a life without them, that I didn't need their approval or their presence. 3 years after Christmas, I got engaged. His name was Adrian, and he was kind and supportive and thought my family estrangement was completely justified. He'd met them exactly once at the courthouse, and that had been enough. Should we invite them to the wedding? He asked carefully. No. Are you sure? I don't want you to have regrets. I won't. We got married in a small ceremony, 50 people who actually loved us. Nora was my maid of honor. Her family came. My friends came. Adrian's family came. The people who'd shown up for me over the years. Not a single member of my biological family was there, and I didn't miss them for a second. At the reception, Nora gave a toast. I've known this woman for 6 years, she said, and I've watched her survive things that would have broken most people. She's the strongest person I know, not because she's never been knocked down, but because she always gets back up. And she does it with grace and kindness and without becoming bitter. She raised her glass. To my best friend, may your future be as bright as you've always deserved. Everyone drank. Adrian leaned over and whispered, You okay? Perfect, I said, and I meant it. 4 years after Christmas, I was sitting in my office when my assistant knocked on my door. There's someone here to see you, she said. She says she's your sister. My stomach tightened. Tell her I'm in a meeting. I did. She said she'll wait. I looked at my calendar. I had back-to-back calls all afternoon. Tell security to escort her out if she's still here in 20 minutes. My assistant nodded and left. I tried to focus on work. Couldn't. Finally, I looked at the security camera feed for our lobby. My sister was sitting in a chair. She looked different, thinner, tired. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. No makeup. Nothing like the polished influencer she'd been. I watched her for 15 minutes. She just sat there, not on her phone, not talking to anyone, just sitting. Finally, she stood up and left. I felt nothing. No anger, no sympathy, nothing. That evening, I got an email from her. Somehow she'd found my work address again. I'm dying, it said. I have 6 months, maybe less. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know. I stared at the email for a long time. Then I closed it and went home to my husband. Adrian asked about my day. I told him about my sister's visit, about the email. What are you going to do? He asked. Nothing. You don't want to see her, even if she's dying? Why? So she can have closure? Make one final attempt to manipulate me into forgiving her? I shook my head. I spent too many years letting her control my emotions. I'm not giving her that power again. What if you regret it later? I won't. She had 4 years to apologize. 4 years to actually take responsibility. She only reached out when she wanted something from me. That's who she is. Adrian pulled me close. Okay, I support whatever you decide. I decided nothing. Didn't respond to the email, didn't visit, didn't call. 6 months later, my uncle sent a message. Your sister passed away yesterday. Funeral is Saturday. I didn't go. Instead, Adrian and I went hiking, spent the day in nature, came home and made dinner together, lived our lives. The next week, Mom called from a new number. You didn't come, she said. No hello. No preamble. No, she was your sister. She was someone who made my life hell. That doesn't change just because she's dead. She wanted to apologize. Then she should have apologized 4 years ago. Not when she was dying and wanted to feel better about herself. You're heartless. I'm at peace. There's a difference. Mom hung up. I blocked the number. That night, I lay in bed thinking about everything. The Christmas I'd escaped. The evidence I'd uncovered. The life I'd rebuilt. The family I'd chosen instead of the one I'd been born into. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you'd stayed? Adrian asked. Every day for the first year, I admitted. Then less often. Now, not at all. No regrets. Not one. 5 years after Christmas, Nora had her first baby. I was in the delivery room, holding her hand, crying when the baby was born. You're the godmother, she told me later. Obviously. I held that tiny baby and thought about family. About how it's supposed to be the people who build you up, not tear you down. Who celebrate your successes instead of sabotaging them. Who show up when it matters. Thank you, I whispered to Nora. For what? For being my family when mine wasn't. She smiled. Always. 6 years after Christmas, Crawford Marketing made me a director. I had a team of 12 people, a corner office, a salary I never could have imagined 6 years ago. I thought about the job offer my sister had sabotaged, how different my life might have been if I'd started here back then. But I wouldn't change anything, because that sabotage led me to this moment, to this life, to this peace. Sometimes the worst things that happen to us are actually the push we need to become who we're meant to be. 7 years after Christmas, I was named one of the top young professionals in my field. They did a profile on me for a business magazine. Asked about my journey. I told them about losing a job offer, moving back home, starting over, building something new. I didn't mention my family, didn't talk about the sabotage or the revenge or the estrangement. They weren't part of my story anymore. The article came out. I got messages from old acquaintances, people I hadn't heard from in years. My mom saw it somehow, sent another email. Proud of you. 2 words. 7 years of silence, and she thought 2 words would matter. I deleted it without responding. 8 years after Christmas, Adrian and I bought our first house. 3 bedrooms, a yard, a neighborhood full of young families. Nora and her family lived 2 streets over. We had dinner together twice a week. Her daughter called me auntie. This was my family now, the one I'd chosen, the one that chose me back. 9 years after Christmas, I started mentoring young women in my field, helping them navigate corporate politics, teaching them to recognize sabotage before it derailed their careers. One of them asked me once, how do you deal with people who want to see you fail? You succeed anyway, I said. You build something so solid that their sabotage can't touch it. And then you move on with your life while they're still stuck trying to bring you down. What if it's family? Especially if it's family. Blood doesn't give anyone the right to destroy you. 10 years after Christmas, I sat in my living room on Christmas Eve. Adrian was cooking dinner. Nora and her family were coming over. We had presents under the tree. Lights everywhere. Peace. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. For old time's sake, I answered. Hello? This is your father. I'm calling because your mother is sick. She's asking for you. I felt nothing. No guilt. No obligation. Nothing. I'm sorry to hear that. That's it? That's all you have to say? What do you want me to say? That I'll come running after 10 years? After everything? She's your mother. She's a woman who planned my public humiliation, defended the daughter who destroyed my life, and never once apologized. Being my mother doesn't erase that. You're really going to let her die without seeing you? She made her choices. I made mine. I hung up. Adrian came into the room. Everything okay? Perfect. Because it was. I'd spent 10 years building a life without them. 10 years of peace and success and genuine happiness. 10 years proving that you don't need your family of origin to thrive. You just need to know when to walk away. And I'd walked away at exactly the right moment. On Christmas morning, Nora handed me a gift. Inside was a framed photo from that first Christmas at her place. Both of us in pajamas, eating pancakes, laughing. Remember this? She asked. Best Christmas I ever had. Because you chose yourself. Because I chose better. We spent the day with people who loved us, who celebrated us, who built us up instead of tearing us down. And somewhere in another part of the state, my biological family was probably still wondering why I never came back. They'd never understand, and I'd long stopped caring. The life I built from the ashes of their cruelty was better than anything I could have had with them, better than their approval, better than their acceptance, better than their idea of family. I'd learned the most important lesson. Sometimes walking away is the only way to save yourself, and I'd walked away without looking back. Best decision I ever made.